seems that the Apex this Mazda Sunday Series drivers have found themselves in a less than bright situation. The stage has been set. We are at Road Atlanta for week number 4. My name Mac Nelson. Alongside with me is going to be Mike Taylor on the Racer Nexus Global Broadcast booth. We are here in Brazelton, Georgia, I believe right outside the actual city limits of Atlanta for our race here tonight. Going to be a very familiar scene for a lot of you if you are avid Apex This fans. Week number 12, our championship race came here to Road Atlanta, and in season 26 it actually opened up the calendar to start that season. Well, we are in week number 4 here. It is 23 degrees Celsius outside, 73 degrees Fahrenheit. That is going to be your surface temperature and air temperature completely twinning out there. 2.52 miles for 12 turns. And if you squint just hard enough, it almost looks like Road Atlanta is somebody maybe pointing a single barrel finger gun at you, a little bang bang action. Rain is not scheduled to be a part of our show here tonight, although the theatrics that would cause probably be pretty funny. Like I said, my name is Mac Nelson. I'll be your lead commentator here tonight. Mike Taylor, the ever so talented, is going to be pushing all the buttons when it comes to up here in the booth. When it comes to making calls out on track, I'm not entirely sure who the race director here is going to be tonight. I'm sure it goes to a whole slew of people. On to our season calendar, round number 4 here at Road Atlanta. It is July the 12th, almost halfway through July. For all those parents that might be watching their loved ones racing, it's almost school time. Hallelujah. How about that? Round number 5 going to be at Brands Hatch next week on the 19th. That is one that I've got circled. I cannot wait to see that before we get into Watkins Glen the week after that. So we go America into Europe, back to America, and then for the rest of the calendar, Sebring, Zandvoort, St. Petersburg, Imola, Monza, and Spa-Francorchamps over in the Belgian region. Not entirely a fan of Belgium after what they did to my USA men's national team a little less than a week ago. But we'll go over your race format here tonight. Qualifying drivers are going to have 4 laps to see what they can do. But remember, guys, when 20-minute heats here, we are going to have the exact same race, except top 4 are going to invert. So that creates a whole lot of spice on the opening few laps in our race number 2. 1 fast repair and limited tire sets. All that, normal stuff that is pretty much standardized within the road racing leagues now. Here in the iRacing official service, we'll get a look at your points, and I believe first on the queue is going to be our mid-pack Larry's and our Canadian John Cooper in the number 77. I had to check and make sure he was still rocking 77. I do believe he is. He is going to be in the lead with 104 points, but the Mad Motorsport driver Michael Tanagretta in P2, only going to be 3 points behind John Cooper. Sean Teeter in that number 117, going to be right behind him with 93 points. Mark Sherman, Harrison Mealy, Keegan Gehrig, Pat Wilson, Aaron Law, Jay Smooth, and Christopher Croto are going to make up the top 10 from there. Moving on to your pros, Joshua Soto is going to be in front with 125 points. Michael Brock and Ryan Ryder are going to be flanking him on the rostrum with 116 points and 80 points respectively. In P4, Charles Wolf, he had a great week last week. Sean Gapinski in P5, Kurt Moss, Spencer Baudouin, Stan Hammonds, TPR, and Nick Belasco, your rookie here in the Pro Series. Rounding out your top 10, teammate, co-worker Brian Zinn in P11. I do have to say that. Just got to give that a little bit out there. Get that out there, I should say, a little bit. But I have been yapping for entirely too long. Mike Taylor joining me here tonight, doing a fantastic job on the production. What do you think we can expect here tonight at Road Atlanta?
Oh man, let me tell you what, here at Road Atlanta, it's one of those groovy tracks. You got to be in the rhythm. If you're not in the groove, you're not in the rhythm, you're not doing the dance correctly, you're going to find yourself off in that sand pits. But I'm anticipating heavy side-by-side, nose-to-tail racing throughout the entire field here today, because that's just what Road Atlanta is known for.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Road Atlanta, when you break it down corner by corner, very, very short track, it seems. Lap times aren't going to reflect that because you're sitting on that back straight for so long, but it seems like every single lap you just do a few corners and then you're already onto the back straight. So I will have to agree with you. I think we're going to see a ton of racing going on down that back straight, and you can see it there as we'll expand the timing tower and you're able to see exactly how everybody stacks up. It's going to be Joshua Soto. I mean, who else, man? In that 07, he's going to be on pole position. And it looks like our first race is actually about to start gridding up here very, very shortly. So instead of going over the results, we'll just take you straight into your grid. It's the same thing, am I right? In pole position in that number 07 is going to be Joshua Soto. On fire. He is your points leader. Michael Brock in the 421. Big shout out to Jen in chat. Always a regular, always supporting. They will be on that pole row. Row number 2, Charles Wolf and Thomas Lathrop. Followed by Brian Lemke and the Nerdberg King, the man from St. Kitts and Nevis, Kevin Zhu in the 243. In P7, going to be the 117 is Sean Teeter with Tony Wallace flanking on his outside, the world's strongest sim racer, might I add. P9 going to be Joe Mayer in the 000 with Jesse Gonzalez, another MAV Motorsport driver, in the number 7. Row number 6, we see Christopher Croto and Ryan Ryder in the 305 and 181 respectively. They seem to be going to war almost every single week. I'm sure we're going to get another instance in that, or in this race, I should say. Oz Exalu in the 911, DeWalt Mazda Miata with Ryder Poe in the RPR 36. That will be row number 7. Row number 8 is going to be Spencer Beaudoin and Corey Mitchell, with row number 9 being Michael Cummings and Jay Smooth. Josh Smith. P19 is going to be Kenton Bandy, with P20 going to Harrison Mealy. P21 Dylan Foster and P22 Keegan Gehrig. Row number 12 is going to see Mark Sherman with Jake Harrigan. P25 is going to go to Michael Tanagretta. P26 in the number 468 going to be Aaron Law. P27 William Stern with Craig Thompson in P28, and around the 2 penultimate corners onto the final straight, we are green flag racing. Joshua Soto out firm into the lead, down into turn number 1. He is going to be taking the most optimal line. That is quite obvious. He is the leader. It is every right to do so. Thomas Lathrop in very, very close pursuit. You see Sean Teeter there in the 117. Already jumped up a position. The car behind him, the 181 of Ryan Ryder, has already jumped up 5 positions. What an incredible start that is for him. Another driver 2 cars back, making a fantastic start. The number 36 of Ryder Poe. Part of Ryder Poe Racing, or RPR for short. He is up 5 spots into that P9 position.
Oh, that was a really incredible start by Ryder.
Yeah, I was going to say that's exactly what I was going to ask for. I was going to ask for your opinion on that start. And when you have that aggression out the gate like that, as we get onto the back straight for the very first time here tonight, Mike, as you get onto that back straight, first few laps, if you notice that aggression coming from a driver behind you, that's got to be flustering seeing in your rearview mirror.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, I get flustered, especially when I got drivers that start behind me. I'm not fast by any means. But when I got drivers that are that fast, as we have a little bit of contact there, you know, and I look up in my rearview mirror in the first 2 laps and I see these guys just, you know, blowing by me, passing people left and right. And I'm like, well, then what happened in your qualifying session? Why are you all the way back here if you're that fast? Well, some people like me, well, I just suck at qualifying.
Yeah, that is true, to be fair. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea if you're bad at qualifying, but something happened, and I want to point it out. Michael Brock in the 421 is in P32, and we have a car getting into the wall as well. Oh, no. So not entirely sure who that was. We do have a Dark Knight out
Michael
here
Cummings.
in Road Atlanta, and I'm not talking Gotham. Michael Cummings running currently P18 in the mid-pack Larry's. He had a moment going over that blind crest into the S's. As we look at the replay here, this is Michael Cummings coming down into turn number 1, and it's just going to be a little too much mustard, and he's not able to save it, and then he's going to overcorrect, and yeah, into the wall right there at almost the exact crest of the hill. So
Sorry about that.
not
Let's try to get a
entirely.
better look.
Yeah, it's very, very awkward here, especially being nighttime and being on that blind crest. You don't typically see stuff happen, so he wanted to bring it back over. The car suddenly got traction again, gripped. He had the wheel turned to the other side, just a classic overcorrection. And that is unfortunately going to be Michael Cummings's heat race number 1, or our first race of the night, however you want to classify it. More than likely going to be over, but I do want to reiterate on this point. Yes, you're on him right now, the 421 of Michael Brock. I'd love to know what exactly happened to him on that opening lap, or it might have been the second lap where it had happened at, but I'm pretty sure it was more than likely going to be the opening lap, as Michael Tanagreta's in a big fight as well right here. Michael Brock, the damage seems to be, unless he went into the pits and already used that hot pit or fast repair, there doesn't seem to be too much damage on the car of Michael Brock, so maybe just a classic spin moment. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure what had happened. There is now Michael Brock getting into the Sprite 032. And then the 119 MAV Motorsport driver is going to get into that car as a causation of that. So what is going on? It's the nighttime, man, over that blind crest. I think people are being just a little too cautious, or maybe not cautious enough. They might not be respecting the nighttime and the blind corner, but Gregorio Amarino Jr. is going to have a meatball flag. It's going to be mechanical failure, and it's going to be his heat race more than likely over. And if we get a replay, yeah, that is, well, Mike, to be honest with you, that's just kind of unavoidable on the side of Gregorio Amarino Jr.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, it's this track is so unique, and you got those blind hills and everything else like that, and just sometimes there's just nothing you can do. As you see, Moreno continuing to circle around this track, trying to get back to pit road.
Yeah, and he's going to need it, but it might all be for Nye anyway. Charles Wolf has set your fastest lap of the race all the way down in P26. Not going to be the best of starts for him. Michael Brock is currently in P28, going to be 26 positions down. That is going to be one to forget for sure when it comes to Michael Brock, but we look towards your leader. You can see him on the left side of the frame, now moving to the right. It's going to be the 07 of Joshua Soto. And man, it's been a year for the 07s. I mean, Joshua Soto being oh so talented throughout every single race that we have saw here this season. And, even last season, I'll say it, Joshua Soto was probably the most all-around best driver on the grid in season 27. We flip the script. We come to season number 28. And he is doing the exact same things here. I mean, it just seems like he has got the entire grid and world in his hands. Oh, well, that is perfectly fine, Mike. That's what I love to do, man. We're on board with Tony Wallace currently in the number 78. He is in P4, going to be up 4 positions for MAV Motorsport. Rocking a 3,100 I rating, which is going to be the lowest of our top 5 until you get to Brian Lemke, but he does not count. He is an in-real-life driver. He does race up in, I believe, the Pacific Northwest. I should know more about that. I do apologize if that is wrong. However, more to the point, Tony Wallace in that 78 being pressured immensely by the number 243 of Kevin Zhu. So it's going to be 1 spot up for Kevin Zhu, 4 spots up for Tony Wallace. Last lap going to be a 1:35.882 in advantage of Tony Wallace, and Thomas Lathrop has now had a moment. He is going to have to shuffle back in the grid order, and that is horrible, and I mean horrible timing for Thomas Lathrop, coming up on almost halfway through this race. Really, in the ideal situation, especially with how we see these this Mazda Cup races go, it seems that drivers need to be very, very cautious about these middle race jumps, about these drivers that love to kind of sit and wait for a time like this to make a move. For the most part, there hasn't been a lot of movement when it comes to straight racing overtakes. In these races, it's always mass jumps or mass gains, or mass losses, I should say, due to a mistake. A driver goes off track, a driver spins, there's contact, something of the sort. We're seeing a whole lot of side-by-side racing now. Just a few cars back from Tony Wallace. I believe that's going to be the group of Ryan Ryder, Sean Teeter, and Christopher Croto. I think I can see the 305 Vans Miata back there. If not, then it might be Ryder Poe, part of RPR, but still a big battle developing between Kevin Zhu and Tony Wallace. A lot of those drivers able to make it over the blind crest safely. So very, very good there. So Joshua Soto in the 07, still going to lead the way. Thomas Lathrop, now your driver in view, going to be running P5 in the Pro Series. Joshua Soto there, your current Pro Class leader. Fantastic drive from him so far. He's only a quarter of the way done tonight, because he still has a second race after this race. And by last lap, Brian Lemke is actually currently the faster car on track when you compare him to Joshua Soto. So that 07 has its work cut out for him, wouldn't you say, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely has everything cut out. And let me tell you what, Brian Lemke, he's actually really impressed me so far here today. I know that he was struggling just a little bit last week, but he was still having a pretty decent run, but just unfortunately, I don't believe he had a strong finish like he was hoping last week. But let me tell you what, this week he's absolutely on it, as Brad Parker had some big issues along with Michael Cummins.
Oh no, so Michael Cummings getting into a little bit of action again. Brad Parker in the number 18, just a little bit of off track going for him, but he does manage to find that alternate layout, which does work as an escape road here, so he's able to keep things on par there. But pretty much par for the course, though, Mike. I mean, it seems like everybody has had struggles going over this blind crest. I don't know if it's the nighttime. I don't know if it's the headlights of the cars behind, maybe casting weird silhouettes. I'm not entirely sure. There's Michael Cummings' replay of him. I thought maybe it would come at the blind crest, but it's going to happen just straight up in turn number 1 for him. And, yeah, what do you think the causation is here?
Definitely the big causation here, is it's a mixture of, it's the track layout and it's nighttime. This track, like I said, it is a very technical course. A lot of blind spots. So if you're not really paying attention and you don't know what to use as your braking marker in the dark, this track becomes really hard to race on.
Yeah, no doubt about that, as we see Kevin Zhu trying on the inside of the number 84 Rising Edge of Thomas Lathrop there, and it is going to work out in Lathrop's favor currently, because he is set up for the better line going into turn number 1, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Very, very firm on the rear bumper of Kevin Zhu is going to be the 84 of Thomas Lathrop. Now, with only 8 minutes left, there is a 3-second gap to Brian Lemke and Joshua Soto. Will Kevin Zhu have the stuff to do it? I mean, last lap, if you bar the, the fighting, the racing that he had to do to overtake and get those positions, I mean, there's a good chance he would have been right on par with Joshua Soto or Brian Lemke's lap time.
Yeah, definitely. And these guys right now, they're rock and rolling around this track. And there is something about Road Atlanta that just, it really gives you that excited feeling. And I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't really looking forward too much to this race, well, until I started watching practice. And so now I'm really stoked to see how the last 7 minutes of this race will go. And I can't believe we're already working, only 7 minutes left, and we've only ran 8 laps.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like the lap count going to be pretty small here as we take a look at one of the big dogs, Kent Kruger. In the number 39, he is going to have a moment right there in turn number 2 and 3 as well. And we'll get another look at it here, maybe a little bit of an alternative angle. Kent Kruger in the 39. He just can't hold on in the grass. But he looked to keep it. Oh, he was so on par for so long. It seemed like he had everything under control. Maybe just a little bit too much brake or steering input. Oh, yeah. Really quick upon re-entering the asphalt. You got to let the car stabilize, get happy with where it's at. We're going to go. I take that back. We're going back to our live feed now. Kevin Zhu in the 243, up 3 spots. Ryder Poe, though, in that P7 position for the mid-pack Larrys. He is going to be your leader currently as we look top 5 for the going pros. I mean, it's pretty easy to read, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be the top 5 on your scoring card over there on the left. All of those drivers are pro drivers. Ryder Poe going to be our first mid-pack Larry here in the number 36. Sean Teeter in the 117 is going to be behind him. Christopher Croto in the Vans 305 Miata going to round out the podium for our mid-pack Larrys. Then you got to go down to Jay Smooth in the 235. Joshua Smith, he will be your P4 driver. Aaron Law has just overtaken Michael Tanagretta for the final spot in that top 5 for the class. Down the hill, back straight into the chicane. Just a little south of 5.5 minutes left, and these two drivers are getting their elbows out.
Yeah, Aaron Law and Michael Tanagretta, they both have absolutely amazing speed, and they are pretty much dead even matched. And, whenever you see these two racing nose to tail, side by side, flip-flopped upside down, left and right, they always put on one heck of a show, as you guys are seeing right here as they come up and over the crest.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think I called that Aaron Law and Michael Tanagretta were going to go to war here. It might have been someone else. I got peanut brain. Everybody down there knows it. And I want to give a big shout out to Jen in chat for correcting me. It is the Northeast that Lemke races in, not the Northwest. So I'm only about 1,200 miles off on that one.
Yeah,
but Poe is doing phenomenally for his first race. That is what Jen has put in the chat. Jen Brock always giving the proper drivers their flowers. And I agree, Ryder Poe in his first race. He is only 14 years old. He is leading this mid-pack Larry's division, and you can see all the social medias down there on his door skirting, siding. Maybe I should just stick to broadcasting up here in the booth. But anyway, yeah, Ryder Poe Racing, man, RPR. Let me tell you, I am invested. I can't wait to see what the kids got in them as we look towards the end of heat race number 1. Joshua Soto in that 07, still going to be elite, still going to be Titanic, still going to be out in front without really any sort of contesting. I mean, Brian Lemke is within 1 second. It's going to be 0.7 of a second, almost 3/4, pretty much 3/4 of a second. And then Kevin Zhu, it kind of drops off a cliff, 4.5 seconds. So I do believe we have a 2-car race here for our winner Will it be Soto? Will it be Lemke? Kevin Zhu in the 243, trying to make his way around lap traffic currently. The 84 of Thomas Lathrop is in very, very heavy pursuit, Mike. And if you are Thomas Lathrop, you see that clock expiring. We're now just south of 3 minutes. What's got to be on the mind for Thomas Lathrop here?
Man, if I was Thomas Lathrop, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here. Yeah, I'm going to lose a couple points here for the standings here in the first race. But I'm going to be starting on the pole for that second race. So I'm comfortable here because let me tell you what, I don't need to worry about getting around Josh Soto and Brian Lemke. You know, at that point, I could just run my race. And Thomas, he was quick last week and he's looking to repeat, you know, his strong performance like he did last week. So if I was him, I would stay right here and stay right behind Kevin Zhu and start on the pole for the second race.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. However, I'm going to slightly disagree with you, and I'm going to say if Thomas Lathrop thinks that he can get past Kevin Zhu, then I would take it this race, get the more points, get the podium for getting third, and then you'll be starting behind Kevin Zhu, which is not a problem because you already showed you can do it in the first race. What's the problem with getting by him in the second race? You know what I mean? Claim that victory, and then a third and a first is just a little tiny bit better than a fourth and a first.
Yeah, that is definitely very true. I mean, so it's a win-win. It's a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, two contrasting strategies here, and we have the luxury, Mike, of just sitting up here and chatting about it in the booth, covering the action. These guys have got to think about it while racing, while being door-to-door with these guys. I mean, there is just so much that goes into it, and to be a successful fast driver here on the iRacing official service, and it's so difficult, man. It's so difficult to be fast. It's so difficult to be good, and these guys, I mean, it's cinema to us. We love watching it, but for the most part, I mean, this has got to be very, very stressful for these drivers, but I assume it's fun as well. I mean, I shouldn't say assume. I do the sim racing just like you guys. That's enough yap. White flag out in the air. The 07 of Joshua Soto has taken the white flag. Brian Lemke is going to be just barely closer than 4/10 of a second back. It's going to genuinely go down to the very corner. We go down the hill for the final time here in race number 1. Remember, folks, don't go anywhere, because after this, we'll take a short break and be right back in for race number 2. Identical, except the top 4 are going to invert. That is top 4 overall, not top 4 in each class, by the way, because we are multi-class racing here down into what I believe is turn 6 and 7 here at Atlanta. It might be something else, though, maybe 9 and 10. But Joshua Soto in the 07 doing a fantastic job. Sherman going to get a black flag. He will have a post-race time penalty, and it looks like the same is going to be said about Wilson. But down the back straight, Joshua Soto has managed to stretch the legs on that Mazda Miata. It's now going to be half a second from him to Brian Lemke. We go down into the final chicane for the final time here in race number 1. Joshua Soto, he's going to get through clean, and it looked like it might be a question for just a few laps there, but most of the time it was under no scrutiny, under no contest. Joshua Soto is back in the victory lane again, and race number 1 goes to him. Brian Lemke very, very close behind in tow. Thomas Lathrop on the final step of that podium, and then we have Tony Wallace in P4, Kevin Zhu in P5. Sean Teeter in the 117 is going to win it for the mid-pack Larry's there. That is going to be a class victory for him here tonight in race number 1. Christopher Croto in the 305 Vans Miata going to be bringing it home P2. It's going to be P8 overall. Driver still crossing the line. Jay Smooth, Josh Smith in the 235 is going to be finishing P3. Something has happened to Ryder Poe because he is nowhere to be found on this scorecard. And so we're going to get a look at that. We'll go over results here in just a second with you guys, but Oh no, Ryder Poe, it's going to be a last lap incident for him, Mike. And how gut-wrenching does that have to be for the kid?
Oh, it's got to be very gut-wrenching because he has been absolutely strong and dominant this entire first race. But he's going to have to re-screw his head back together and get refocused here because he's fast, so it's just going to be a matter of time before he gets back up to the front.
Yeah, we'll go over your your race 1 results here just real quick. Your overall top 10 is going to be Joshua Soto, Brian Lemke, Thomas Lathrop, Tony Wallace, Kevin Zhu, Ryan Ryder, Sean Teeter, Christopher Croto, Ozzik Silu, and Spencer Beaudwin. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, it's going to be race number 2 of the Apex this Mazda Cup Series here at Road Atlanta. It's round number 4. It's on the Racer Nexus broadcast channel. We'll be right back.
There might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. The session has been declared wet. No sign of this rain stopping. Rain is clearing up. Rain should be gone for now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Racer Nexus global broadcast booth. Myself, Mac Nelson, joined by the producer and color commentator here tonight, Mike Taylor, for round number 4 of the Apex this Mazda Cup Series here live, Brazelton, Georgia, Road Atlanta. Let's get you into that starting grid for heat race number 2, and it looks like because of the invert, Tony Wallace in the number 78 is going to get the pole position with Thomas Lathrop in P2. Second row going to be Brian Lemke with Joshua Soto in P4, your race number 1 winner. Kevin Zhu in P5 with Ryan Ryder in P6. Row number 4 is going to be Sean Teeter with Christopher Croto on the outside of row number 4. Row number 5 on the inside is going to be the 911 of Ozzik Silu, Spencer Beaudwin in the 010, going to be in P10. Joshua Smith in P11, Joe Mayer in the 000, going to be in P12. As for row number 7, it's going to field 2 MAV Motorsport drivers with Charles Wolf and Michael Tanagretta. P15, Aaron Law with Michael Brock, starting in an unfortunate P16 after what happened to him at the very beginning of race number 1. P17 going to go to Craig Thompson with P18, Jake Harrigan. Row number 10 is Keegan Garrig and William Stern, with P21 being Harrison Mealy and P22 Kenton Bandy. Row number 12, Tyler O'Toole and Corey Mitchell. P25, Sean Giroux. P26 going to be Ryder Poe in the number 36. P27, Sean Gapinski. P28, Mark Sherman. As P29, Kent Kruger. Dylan Foster going to be P30. Pat Wilson, Brad Parker. We are green. Gregorio Amarino Jr., Michael Cummins, Jesse Gonzalez, and Greg Boyce. They're actually not even going to be on the grid. Down into turn number 1 for our leader, Tony Wallace. And that's going to be the 000 of Joe Mayer, already off the circuit. We'll get your timing tower expanded here so you can see where everybody stacks up. P1 going to be Thomas Lathrop still, or not still, I should say. Tony Wallace did have the pole. Thomas Lathrop was on that outside pole row, but he managed to get the position over Tony Wallace. 3 wide down the hill into the valley for the first time, and Michael Tanagretta is seeing all of that through his front windshield of that number 200 MAV Motorsport machine. And wow, yeah, it's just an absolute sea of brake lights and nothing but Miata liveries, as it looks like an absolute, it just looks like chaos, Mike.
Yeah, that's one thing that these MX5 cars always bring, is pure chaos. But let's go ahead and come back up here to the battle for the race lead, as they are 3 wide down heading into the final chicane.
Yeah, going to be opening lap turmoils for both of our leaders. Joshua Soto already planting himself into that conversation. It goes Thomas Lathrop from Joshua Soto, Brian Lemke, Tony Wallace, and Ryan Ryder going to be your top 5. A little bit of a switch from how it was when we started. Tony Wallace already back into that P4 spot, even though he started the race on pole. But with how fast Lathrop, Soto, and Lemke looked, I mean, did we really think anything else was going to happen?
Absolutely not. But I mean, I could probably take a wild swing on what might help Tony Wallace a little bit in that 78. Maybe he should shave off some of that muscle and lighten up his cars just a little bit, because, man, let me tell you what, he's one, big, scary-looking dude. I don't want to mess with him.
Hey, I agree 100%. Weight is weight at the end of the day, and all that muscle is going to be weighing this Miata down. I'm sure that's where the 10th has gone. As
I'm sorry,
Ryder
Tony. Tony, if you're watching, I'm sorry. You a good-looking dude, man. You're a good-looking dude, ain't gonna lie. I'm jealous.
And Kevin Zhu in the 243, the man from St. Kitts and Nevis, or at least that's what he reps. He used to rock the Nürburgring King livery on most of the cars that he ran. Tostino's Pizza Rolls for the last at least few races that I've seen. Very, very talented driver is Kevin Zhu. He loves getting active at Spa, at Watkins Glen, I do believe, was the other race that I watched him absolutely climb the grid at. So very, very cool as we head through the penultimate corners down into the final corner. And look at all the weight that the left tires are just carrying as you carry so much speed through that final corner. Gotta be absolutely taxating the tires. And Spencer Baudouin, the Canadian, I was going to say lone Canadian on the grid, but he's actually joined by a pretty sizable force tonight with Aaron Law and Jake Harrigan. No John Cooper to accompany them, however. But he is doing very, very good. He's got Sean Teeter in front of him, Christopher Croto behind him. This can actually work in his favor just a tiny bit, because he is protected on both sides by mid-pack Larry drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And Teeter, he's actually pretty strong up here in that 117. So, as he possibly start muscling his way through these pro drivers, Spencer, he could just follow right through with him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Sean Teeter is nothing to laugh at, nothing to sneeze at. He is very, very quick, even though he is in that amateur mid-pack Larry division. It's going to be the fastest lap of the race for Brian Lemke. That last time around in the number 41 is going to be a 1 minute 35.580. And as we get set to finish this lap, we'll have to see how it compares. But Thomas Lathrop has a little bit of a look towards the inside of Joshua Soto. Not going to set anything in stone yet. Not going to commit. He wants to play the long game. He knows he's more than likely only going to get one opportunity. New fastest lap of the race going to go to Kevin Zhu in the 243. Going to be a 135.215. Compromised line for Lathrop as he gets a little too close to the left edge of that track. Not entirely supposed to be that far over. It's going to hurt him into the blind crest, and you can see Joshua Soto. You cannot give him an inch because he's already put a 10th. I believe it's a 10th. Yeah, and look at that heading through the end of the S's there. He made sure that Thomas Lathrop paid for that mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you beat me to the punch there as we were watching him come up through that corner. He was extremely wide, and that's not the lane that you want to be, especially going up through, I believe that was turn 1 that we saw that at. You know, you definitely don't want to do that, as we do see Foster's getting hit with a penalty, and he's being called back to the pits.
Yeah, so very, very unlucky for the 1010 Motorsport driver of Dylan Foster in that 818. It's going to be bad results on both races here tonight for him. Hopefully, he can come back next week, Brands Hatch, make a little bit of a dent in that championship chase. All eyes, though, are towards our overall and pro series leader, Joshua Soto, up 3 spots from that P4 position. He's already, I mean, Mike, we're not even halfway through this race, man. He has already just figured everyone out, got into the lead, and he is now safely defending the lead. And there's still 13 minutes left.
Yeah, let me tell you something about Joshua Soto in this number 07 Mazda. He has figured everything out. He's figured this car out. He's figured all these tracks. He's figured out the field. And he's got a leg up because everybody else, they haven't figured out Joshua Soto yet. And they really need to sit down, study Joshua Soto. If they want to try to knock him off of the point standings, they're going to have to really turn everything around here. I feel like this is now Josh Soto versus everybody else.
And it's funny because I start to agree, and it just shows the levels that there really are to something like this. Because we see Joshua Soto, we come out here, we see him contend for the win every week. We see him just put on masterclass after masterclass, and it looks like the gap can't be any bigger. But then a certain DJ Alessandrini shows up, and he walks the entire grid to the point where he doesn't even get his points counted because he knows he'll just win if he shows up every single week. And it really just indicates that although these guys are top 2% drivers, that 1% that makes DJ Alessandrini a top 1% driver, it's so evident, it's so clear. And just the power structure when it comes to skill in the sim racing market, it's so cool to see, because I see these guys out here, the Apex this Mazda Cup Series drivers, putting on an absolute show. I mean, look at it. They are ripping Miatas probably faster than I could rip a GT4 around here, if we're being completely honest. But at the end of the day, someone like DJ Alessandrini comes in, and he walks them by 10 seconds. It just, like I said, I'm reiterating the same point over and over again, but the power creep, the power scale here that relates to skill in sim racing is oh so cool. And we just get to see it on display every single week with just these titans like Michael Brock. Look at him, up 9 spots as I continue my tirade here, but he started the race in P16. We're not even halfway through. We're 50 seconds from the halfway point in this race, and he has already figured it out all the way up to 7th. And these guys are the drivers he's doing this to in the grid, that, these top guys do this to, they aren't, just random people. These guys love sim racing as well. They're on the sim almost every single day, or at least they try to be. They make weekly sim racing, or league racing, I should say, happen. And it all boils back, Mike. I say it all to say this is just, I mean, the best thing for racing that I think is in the world. I mean, come on, sim racing. It's so real. It's so immersive. It's so cool.
Emotional.
Everybody gets to take this so seriously, and it's a legit thing. And these guys and gals are so talented when they get behind the wheel, and just being able to watch it all unfold, man, it's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've been on this service for 16 years now, and I think probably one of my coolest things, other than winning the iRacing Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400, is there's a big league that puts on an event called the Majors 24, and my team podiumed this year, and so I got a really cool coin out of it, and that is like very emotional to me. I looked at it, I'm like, I kind of started to tear up because it's like, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's a culmination.
In 16 years, you know, I've got this coin. I made great friends. I started this, you know, doing this broadcast and stuff. And then I'm down on track. It's such an emotional roller coaster because when you do have those great days, you're hyped, you're excited, you want to get back at it. And then you're kicking your seat. I think that's what I saw right there on Michael Brock's number pad. You know, you want to kick your seat because you're just so frustrated and you want to cry. It's just sim racing, but that's how emotional and, you know, invested us as sim racers are into something like this.
Yeah, using that anger, using the, you know, the want to do well because of the bad start in race number one, whether it was strategy or, you know, whatever happened to it, as we're 3 wide into turn number one here. Big contact from the 305 of Christopher Croto. Going to be making a heavy contact there with the 468 of Aaron Law, but he is going to continue racing as, wow, looking almost like bumper cars out there. Obviously going to be unintentional, but Aaron Law and Christopher Croto fighting over the exact same real estate there, just south of 8 minutes to go. And Michael Brock, you know, like we said, that, you know, the long point about it, it's emotional. He uses that from the first race into the second race, and he is absolutely electric. Not going to have the fastest lap. That is going to go to Kevin Zhu in the number 243, who has stagnated. His position changed. His delta is at 0 as he has started this race in 5th, and he's currently running in 5th. But he is putting a whole lot of pressure on the Dr. Pepper 78 of Tony Wallace, who, once again, I might want to reiterate to you guys, he is 3 positions down already. So Tony Wallace, who saw no one in front of him when we took the green flag, he had the pole position. He now sits in P4 again. He got there pretty quick after the drop of the green flag, but he is still trying his hardest to get back up to the front. But Kevin Zhu in that 243 has a different plan, I would have to assume.
I want to tell you guys also that we have 5 cars here battling it out for the race lead. And wait a second. Oh, I just realized that Lothrop got around Joshua Soto.
Yeah, Thomas Lathrop did indeed pass Joshua Soto. I'm not entirely sure what corner it was, Mike, but yeah, it did happen. And now Joshua Soto, we're starting to see maybe just a little bit of crack in the armor of him. As we head into the second right-hander, we go on to the back straight. It's going to be a absolute drag race, but if you look at the gap or the interval down there on the left side, Joshua Soto is making a big run at our current race leader, Thomas Lathrop. Joshua Soto going to go for the double here tonight. Brian Lemke postured all the way on the left side, not going to allow that, and it looked like Brian Lemke might have just used Joshua Soto as a distraction our race leader, Thomas Lathrop,
Yeah,
and
awesome.
for good reason, not going to blame him, completely concerned with Joshua Soto right behind him. Brian Lemke takes to that left side, breaks later than all the other competitors around him, and he now has the race lead with a car buffer between him and Joshua Soto. So not only does Soto have to get past Lathrop, he now has to get past new leader Brian Lemke.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did find that quick pass for Thomas Lathrop on Joshua Soto here, coming up onto the front straightaway here into the final corner. Just got an amazing run down the hill, and that was what secured that pass even before they exit the final corner to come to the front straightaway. And now back live with us now. You guys are all seeing this live just like we are now, and let me tell you what, things have just intensified by 1,000.
Yeah, and the never-ending battle that we talked about towards the top of the broadcast, Aaron Law, he is always, and I mean always, scrapping for some sort of a position. It is literally a hard knock life for Aaron Law in that number 468, but he is currently battling for the second place spot. He currently has it over Christopher Croto in the Vans 305 Miata. These two came to blows a few laps ago after turn 1, heading up the hill into turns number 2, 3, and the S's. And once again, these two are going to be here battling it out. Ozek Silu in the 911 DeWalt Miata is going to be the only buffer between these two drivers and the class leader in the number 117, and it's going to be a chaotic second half of the chicane for Ozek Silu in the 911, and that calamity is going to cause Christopher Croto and Aaron Law to come to blows mid-corner, and it is going to be Aaron Law and Ozek Silu with the meatball flags, mechanical failures. The left rear on Law is not even operational, but he is going to choose to stay out, I believe, as I don't know if Aaron Law is going to be able to make it around the track again. And you can see the right rear of Ozek Silu in that 911. Horrible, horrible damage.
Yeah, that. Remember when I just said that things have been turned up by 1,000? I think that right there just shows that. Yeah, I think it's turned up to 5,000 here.
Yeah, going to be a very, very maybe slippery slope of a situation to digest, but we head back up to the front. Just a little less than 3 minutes remaining here. They call this the time that matters in a basketball game. The last 3 minutes, the coaches will always say, are the only minutes that matter. And if that holds true, then we are about to see some crazy racing here through the final chicane. Thomas Lathrop has his nose in. The move has been started. Can it be finished around the outside? Brian Lemke is going to have a little more momentum, but it's going to be less distance traveled for the 84 of Thomas Lathrop. They are now in a drag race down into turn number 1. Brian Lemke, just being honest, left in the dust after having a lot more momentum going through that final corner into turns number 2 and 3. We start down the hill. It's going to be lap number 12. Drivers have completed 11. And it's going to be 2 sticks up in the air for Barney the Flagman, because the next time Thomas Lathrop comes around that downhill penultimate corner, it is going to be a white flag in the air. Yes, Barney the Flagman will have one more lap of duties. Go ahead, Mike.
Man, you could just hear those tires squeal as they were coming up on that uphill when we were just on board with Lemke there just a moment ago. That just shows you how hard all of these drivers are pushing. You know, the moment that you start hearing that squealing, you know you are on edge.
Yes, sir, without a doubt. And to be honest, something I haven't really expected to see here, Kevin Zhu's lap from earlier on in the race, and I mean no disrespect, has still held as the fastest lap, but we've got a 3-wide situation now coming down the hill, and Brian Lemke again is going to gap everyone else in the straight, but Joshua Soto has the Mazda Miata hooked up. He was hugging the first chicane, hugging the first corner, and still managed to out-momentum Brian Lemke around the second part of it. I've never seen anything like that. White flag in the air, and it's going to be one more time around Road Atlanta for Joshua Soto, not the other way around. That'd be really, really weird. But Brian Lemke in the 41. It's only going to be a 4/10 of a second difference, but Brian Lemke, before he can worry about maybe passing Joshua Soto on this final lap, and it's going to be a spin from Soto. He's caught it, and somehow the lead has not just completely vanished. That was a big, big slip from Joshua Soto in the 07, and he is still going to have the lead and is still, well, he was gaining for just a tiny second. Whew, into the double right-hander.
This is going to be where it matters the most for Brian Lemke, as he needs to get a good run here on this very long straightaway from Joshua Soto, as he's trying to break that draft. And as of right now, he's doing just that. I don't know if Lemke can get to him.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be possible. It was a very, very poor double right-hander from the side of Brian Lemke. The battle in the mid-pack Larry's is pretty much done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. So we are watching your top 5 into the final chicane for the final time here tonight. Race number 2. And it's going to be Lathrop who has turned around. Tony Wallace takes provisional third. Josh Soto is going to be crossing the line first again. His win rate is going to do nothing but climb. It's a sweep for him here tonight once again. Brian Lemke in P2. Tony Wallace is going to be finishing on the bottom step of that podium. Kevin Zhu going to be taking home 4th place with the fastest lap. Michael Brock going to be on the end of that top 5. That was incredible. Sean Teeter crosses the line as your leader in the mid-pack Larry's. Thompson in the number 16. And Harrigan Jake Harrigan in the 414. The Canadian driver going to be taking home the final step on that rostrum. And unfortunately for Poe in the number 40, is he 46, I believe? Yeah, Ryder Poe in the 36, I apologize, is going to have another tough one at P17. However, it is going to be 9 places up for him. Michael Cummings finishes the race in P14, but it's going to be 20 spots up for him. And that is going to be, no doubt, the hardest charger of the race. If we go in the other direction, Thomas Lathrop, who had a moment on the final stretch of the race, just a few more feet to go, he is going to have a moment. He finishes the race in P28.
He fell that far back?
Ooh, and that was absolutely chaotic for all parties considered. Michael Brock getting to finish in the top 5 after starting all the way in P16. And before we get into our post-race interview, our post-race show brought to you by Apex Sim Racing, we will go into our results. This is going to be, looks like maybe your overall, if we could by any chance get the separated class standings. Mr. Taylor will go first with the mid-pack Larry's. It's going to be Sean Teeter in the 117 who gets it done here in race number 2. Craig Thompson, Jake Harrigan going to round out your podium. Harrison Mealy, Michael Cummings, Sean Giroux, Tyler O'Toole, Keegan Garrett, Christopher Croto, and Kenton Bandy going to make up your top 10 there. On to the Pro Series. And then we'll interview our drivers, see how they thought of the race. Joshua Soto in P1 with Brian Lemke and Tony Wallace behind them on the podium. Kevin Zhu in P4. Michael Brock finishing in P5. Going to round out that top 5. Charles Wolf, Ryan Ryder, Sean Gapinski, Spencer Baudouin, and Joe Mayer in the 000 are going to make up your top 10. And first things first, I would love to bring in... Well, actually, I take that back. There had been a change in situation. I would like to bring in the number 36 driver here, Ryder Poe, man. Ryder, Mac and Mike up here in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, walk me through it. Unfortunately, not going to have the best finish in race number 1. You looked really, really clean up until that final lap. And, you know, things like that happen. So how did you use that as, you know, how did it structure your frame of mind? That's how I'll put it, going into race number 2.
It definitely put a different thing in my head, of course, for the second race, because this is my first time running here with these guys, and I don't know a lot about everybody here, so I'm trying to be precautious with how everybody's driving and their style. So I'm just going to have to put that in my mind for next race and prove and adapt from that. So
yeah, without a doubt, we head to Brands Hatch next week. I apologize. So we're exiting America. We're going over to Europe before we come back again. Brands Hatch, is it somewhere you're confident going into, or is it somewhere you don't really care to race at?
Brands Hatch is a really fun track, high speed corners, but at the same time low speed. So with the Miatas, I feel like that's going to be a good track to race at. I've never driven at it before, but I'm definitely going to be getting the track soon to test it out, and hopefully I can get a better result than I did my first week, and I can prove something there next week in Europe.
Yes, sir, without a doubt. Before we let you go here tonight, Ryder, is there anybody you would like to thank or shout out for the performance?
Shout out to Tyler O'Toole, man. He's a good friend of mine, and he joined me for tonight, and he's a really good guy. And my mom, my dad, Ryder Poe Racing, and that would be it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That is going to be Ryder Poe stepping into the booth for or with us here tonight. As 14 years old, man, how cool, man, how cool. Got a good head on his shoulders, and hopefully he can just get nothing but better and better. But I believe Mike is now caught up with our P3 finisher in race number 2, Tony Wallace.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. Tony, how you doing, buddy?
A little disappointed that me and Lathrop got into it on the last lap, but watching it back, I really tried to avoid that happening, but things happen. We're battling hard for that last podium position, so
Yeah, it was absolutely entertaining to watch. You started on the pole here for the second race, and unfortunately, you did quickly fall back to that fourth. And I'm going to throw it back out there. If you are going to rewatch this, but I cracked the joke. If you lost some of that muscle, it might make you a little bit faster. Because
right. I think that anytime I hit the kart track and the kids are faster than me, I'm like, yeah, if I was about 20 pounds lighter.
No, and as I said earlier, man, you're a good-looking man right there. Big muscles, scary. Don't hit me. But man, that Dr. Pepper 78 machine was wicked fast all day today. What was it about this track that helped make you super quick here today?
Honestly, I do not know. Usually, Road Atlanta is one of my weaker tracks, and I just lucked out and had really good pace tonight. I practiced a little yesterday, came in today, did a few laps, and I felt comfortable enough to put myself up in a good spot for the race, and kind of just threw it all into that first race. And luckily, I got fourth in that first race and put me in that number 1 position for the second race. I knew Lemke and Soto and Lathrop were a little bit faster than me, so kind of just hanging back, and I was waiting for that final lap because I knew there was going to be a big dive going into those final 2 turns, and as we saw, that's what happens, and that's racing.
Heck yeah, and like you said, it was very unfortunate that you did get into it there with Michael. Who is it? Come on now.
Lathrop.
Lathrop.
Thank you. My brain just went kaput. But man, that was definitely very unfortunate there that you got into it with him there. And obviously, hopefully you guys will talk this week and come back at Brands Hatch. What is your experience over at Brands Hatch And what's it going to take to outbeat Joshua Soto?
Joshua Soto he has speed that most of us don't have. And I know Lemke's been training with him, so Lemke's getting up there as well. But I think just the top four right now that finished today were pretty quick, and I think that probably we might be able to see the same thing, if not have maybe Charles Wolf up there with us and Michael Brock. Unfortunately for them, they missed the start for the first race, and it kind of trickled down into the second race. So it'd be nice to have those two up there as well. That would mix it up quite a bit. So we'll see.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, Tony, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
A shout out to you guys for putting on this event and broadcasting, and shout out to MAV Motorsport. That's my team. Got to stick by them no matter what. And yeah, just thank you.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Tony, on your third place finish, and we'll see you next week when we head over to Brands Hatch.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Tony Wallace. Back to you, Mac. I believe you caught up with Brian Lemke.
Yes, sir. Going to be Brian Lemke in that number 41. And the timing tower's doing some weird things. I can't lie right now. So I do believe you finished in P2 in that race number 2 as well as race number 1, right? Was it a double P2 for you here tonight?
It was a double P2. I could hang with Soto. I was there, but man, I just couldn't get around him. He makes all the right moves at all the right times, and tonight was another example of that for sure.
Yeah, but we can get to that when we interview him. I mean, Brian, we got to talk about you, man. I mean, the sim time clearly has got to be on the decline, I would imagine, with your real life racing, resuming back up. It looks like you're out at the track. The real track doing the real thing pretty often here. Now, I do have to ask, do you feel that in the simulator, does driving sim, help real life? Does driving real life help in sim? Do they clash? Do they compare? What's it feel like?
Oh, 1000%. It's so compatible. I was actually at the track Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We did a couple of 3-hour endurance races. A handful of guys in Apex actually run with us, which is really cool. And I got done with that. I ran home to make it in time for practice and qualifying, and I just felt like I was driving so good tonight, just because I've literally been driving nonstop for 3 days straight. So it's just repetition, and it's very similar to the sim and the real life. And then my teammate Nick Belasco, who you see here from time to time, he had never even done that track. He had only done it in sim, and he was #1 qualifier yesterday. So being able to use the sim in real life, it's huge, absolutely huge. It's a game changer for sure.
Okay, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
What do you guys race?
It's just a small local series in the Northeast. They do like a 3-hour endurance races, and Nick has a Miata that we've been running for a couple of seasons together, and it's been just tons of fun, just learning and figuring out what we're doing. It's nothing like professional, we're nothing like that. It's just a local endurance series is all.
Well, no. And where were you guys racing this weekend?
We are at New Hampshire Motor Speedway this weekend.
Oh, heck yeah!
Which is actually in sim, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
That is a fun road course for sure. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Mac. I'll let you take it back.
Yeah. No problem there, Mike, as I do like to see that the correlation is there. But one more question before we let you get sponsors out there, shout outs. You head to Brands Hatch next week, and unfortunately, Joshua Soto's form just seems to be ever improving. So being so close to grasping something to kind of bring him back down to that, that neutral level, going into Brands Hatch, it seems that another week of Soto dominance, it won't mathematically spell defeat, but I think it will kind of set the tone of defeat maybe. So how do you feel going into that, and what's the game plan?
Yeah, I don't know if Brands Hatch is really one of my better tracks, but I'll definitely give it my all. That's for sure. And I can hang with Soto. I think there's a handful of guys in the league that are able to hang with him. He just doesn't make mistakes, and he makes the right moves when he needs to. So I think most of us are just kind of hoping that he finally makes maybe one of those mistakes, or does too many X's or something. Who knows? But I think that's our best shot right now, is to hang as close as we can, and maybe he'll make a mistake or something. But it is what it is. He's fast. I mean, can't take anything away from him. He's earning it. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, you also have earned it. Going to be double P2 on the night tonight. You are wicked fast. Anybody you want to shout out or thank for the performance here tonight?
Yeah, just everybody at Apex that's involved, all the guys that come out. That's what makes the racing so fun. These huge fields and everybody having a good time. And I was having fun listening to some of the drivers talk about working together tonight and trying to catch packs. And I think that's awesome. I like when the drivers all try to work together. And I think that makes for a fun community around the league as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That is going to be a sweep for the second step on the podium for the number 41 driver of Brian Lemke.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I'll hopefully talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The pleasure is always ours, Brian. And Mike Taylor, you're catching up with our first winner we're interviewing tonight. Going to be the winner in the mid-pack Larry's division, Sean Teeter.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, Sean, man, what an incredible run for you here today. I believe in the first race you did come home first, I believe, as well. But man, just what an overall run out of you here today. I know that you had a couple quick mid-pack Larrys running right behind you in Law, and
Yeah, the first heat was tough because I was right on the backs of the pros in front of me, and I couldn't seem to get any wiggle room. And then so the guys behind me just kept catching up, and then there was a lot of back and forth between Ryder, Chris, and myself. Unfortunately, Ryder and I came together, coming out of that 110-mile-an-hour left-hander, which we need to sort out. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Ryder was the one I was thinking of. You guys really just were on it here today. What is it about this place that allowed you to bring home the race win today in the mid-pack Larrys?
I think the fact that Apex loves this track so much, and so they force it upon us as much as possible. So I used to hate this track, and now I've had so much time with it that I definitely feel more comfortable with it than I used to. And Miata's obviously there's just so much drafting that when you make a little bit of mistake, you can earn it back pretty quickly if you're still in the group.
Yeah, absolutely. And next week we are heading out to Brands Hatch. What is it going to take for you to bring home the race win again next week? And